Lots of crazy reports coming out of Edmonton today when it comes to the status of Evander Kane and his potential LTIR placement. Along with that, there's some words from former Oilers defenseman Vincent Desharnais when it comes to his decision to leave the Edmonton Oilers to go to the Vancouver Canucks. All that and more today on Oilers Digest, but make sure to subscribe here to Oilers Digest, as 13% of you watching the videos have subscribed, so we'd like to thank each and every one of you, but 86.5% of you have not yet subscribed to the channel. Make sure to join the ride here as we get into the rest of the offseason here for the Oilers. Of course, lots of speculation regarding not only Evander Kane, but again, the ongoing Leon Draisaitl contract extension talks day in and day out. Still waiting for an answer, but still lots of time in the regular season for this to get done. But before we get into all the news, all the comments, all the quotes, all the breakdowns, we'd like to thank NordVPN for sponsoring today's video and the channel. When it comes to the future of the Edmonton Oilers defense, nothing is ever set in stone, but with our friends over at NordVPN, your internet's defense is guaranteed. Using public Wi-Fi networks at shopping malls or airports can be very risky, leaving your personal data out in the open for anyone to access. But with NordVPN, your personal data is encrypted, hiding your IP address and creating an extra layer of privacy, providing super simple, super easy protection with just one click, allowing for stress-free browsing. And I know most of us have ran into the problem trying to access content like a movie or TV show, or even international news that isn't available in your country, but it is available in another. With NordVPN, you can easily change your location and enjoy content from different countries easily on all your favorite sites, allowing you to travel the world from the comfort of your own home with over 6,000 servers in 111 countries. With Nord Special Threat Protection Pro and Dark Web Monitor, you get an extra layer of protection from unwanted malware on your device, and you'll be notified if your sensitive personal info ends up on the dark web, even if you aren't connected to a VPN server at the time. Visit nordvpn.com/Oilers and use our code to get an exclusive NordVPN deal plus 4 extra months. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Check out NordVPN in the pinned comment or description down below to keep you protected, and shout out NordVPN for sponsoring the channel and for helping you guys become safer online. Again, thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring the video and the channel. Make sure to check out the deal both in the description and pinned comment down below. Now, without further ado, LTIR time. Yes, that is the question regarding Evander Kane's status. I know yesterday we had reported about the 2 Months Hockey podcast. They had a tweet saying, Evander Kane will be ready for training camp. He will take part in the captain's gates come early September. Going on LTIR, or long-term injury reserve, isn't the plan according to sources. Kane and his family have invested in staying in Edmonton over the next 2 years and beyond. Of course, there was some divisional interest in Evander Kane. Of course, you know, the Anaheim Ducks and the Los Angeles Kings, 2 teams that have much history with Evander Kane, because of course he was also a San Jose Shark at one point. They did have some interest in him, but he's not looking to waive his no-move clause at this time. He wants to be an Oiler. And then earlier this morning, Bob Stauffer just completely contradicts them and says he's hearing there is a very good chance that the Oilers' Evander Kane won't be ready for the start of the season, that he may require surgery, and is likely to be on LTIR to start the year. Now, when it comes to, you know, Oiler sources, Bob Stauffer, I trust him a little more than the 2 Months Hockey podcast. Take that with what you will. But it's very interesting, you know, Evander Kane with his sports hernia injury, or that's what he said he had. Anyway, he tried to rehabilitate it, you know, on its own during the summer. Looks like that did not go to plan. At the very least, uncertainty surrounds Kane's injury status. He referred to it as a sports hernia, while CEO Jeff Jackson described it as an issue with his hip. The nature of his injury and the path to recovery are still relatively cloudy, and as the team prepares for training camp in September, this misalignment could create complications. And Kane already ruffled feathers at the end of the regular season when he announced he was playing with a sports hernia. Of course, that was before Game 1 against the Los Angeles Kings, sort of in that media scrum there, that had some criticizing Oilers GM Ken Holland for not placing Kane on LTIR at the 2024 trade deadline, myself included, which could have enabled Kane to heal up for the playoffs and for the Oilers to use up his cap space to bring in another player. Of course, you know, a fully healthy Kane would have been the difference maker against, you know, the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup final. The Panthers kind of pushing the Oilers around. A healthy Kane could have been the difference maker in that regard. If Kane is on LTIR for a month or two, the Oilers will not build up cap space and will have the necessary will have to have the necessary cap space open when Kane returns to the lineup. This isn't so much put him on, you know, LTIR for the entire season and then he's back, you know, game 1 of the playoffs, much like Mark Stone or Nikita Kucherov. The benefit from LTIR comes if a player is certain to be out all year, then the cap space can be used to bring in another player. So there's a lot of question marks regarding, the timeline when it comes to, Evander Kane's surgery, upcoming surgery, if he does undergo it. There's also a benefit if a player gets injured just before the trade deadline, as was seen with Mark Stone of Vegas last season, and that player can go on LTIR for the rest of the year, opening up cap space for the team to bring in another player. If both players are healthy at playoff time, as Stone was deemed to be last spring, then he can return to a bolstered lineup for the playoffs. And again, it all comes down to how long Kane will be out. If he's only out for, a month or two, which would be very generous for, this type of surgery, especially for sports hernia. It all comes down to, when he gets it. And then from that point on, we can sort of, pinpoint an approximate time to return. Not a definite one at all, because, there's a lot of variables into this. But it all really boils down to, Evander Kane's timeline when it comes to cap space. If he is out for the whole year when it comes to the surgery, then the Oilers could benefit from that and then create some cap space to, keep players like Cody Ceci or Brett Kulak on the defensive side, because of course, they're kind of up against the cap wall at this point on, but, Evander Kane could help them out. That being said, it complicates some matters for the team, as whenever he would be recovered from the injury, the Oilers would need to find a way to clear salary cap space to have him return to the lineup, and the Oilers also wouldn't be able to accumulate cap space ahead of the NHL's trade deadline. Of course, if they're buyers, then that'll be a tough sell when it comes to, gaining, playoff rentals for the upcoming playoff run. There is an option for the Oilers. It seems like a last-ditch effort, but it is an option nonetheless. They could also trade Evander Kane once he is healthy. While he currently has a full no-move clause in his deal, it opens up to a 15-team approval trade list on March 1st, 2025, right before the NHL's trade deadline. Of course, that would be a last-ditch effort when he's healthy, right before the playoffs. You could always, keep him. He is a very effective player in the playoffs when he is healthy. You saw in the 2022 playoff run. So, again, that's sort of like if your back is really up against the wall, then that's when you do it. But at that point, it just doesn't make sense to trade Evander Kane for cap space when, you had him out for the entire year. You don't really know what you have when he's healthy, right? Or you do know what you have, but no sense, getting rid of a player that is experienced in the playoffs, how to play, knows all about it. So yeah, trading him, not so much an option. Let me know down in the comments what the Oilers should do with Evander Kane. Should they try to gain a little more cap space when it comes to the start of the season? Who knows at this point? It all comes down to like a lot of questions, a lot of variables. So it's a lot of murky waters when it comes to Evander Kane's status. But enough about that. There's been some words from former Oiler defenseman Vincent Desharnais. Of course, he was a fan favorite. When the post-game celebration with Stuart Skinner, big tough defenseman. A lot of Oiler fans liked him, but he did move on to the Vancouver Canucks. But he was on the Jason Gregor show the other day, and this is what he had to say when it comes to leaving the Edmonton Oilers. He said, "You think about it, and you're like, okay, well, if I go with the Canucks, I'll be playing the Oilers quite a bit, as they're obviously in the same division. But after you think about it, you're like, well, it could have been worse. It could have been, Calgary. I said it during the season, and I said it after the season. I wanted to stay in Edmonton. I've been part of the Oilers for 8 years. I've been bleeding Oilers. I've been bleeding orange. It's been Oilers ever since I got drafted. But it's also a business, and it all boils down to the business side of things. Of course, he had a sense of humor about it. It really could have been worse. It could have been Calgary, but I mean, Vancouver was kind of the second worst option. But again, business side, he just priced himself out of the Oilers cap space there. 2 years. At $4 million, 2 years per year. So when it boils down to that, Vincent Desharnais fan favorite, but at the end of the day, it was time to move on for both sides. He's a bit of an older defenseman too, didn't really come into the Oilers until he was, I believe, 26, 27. So came in late in the game. So when you come in late in the game, you get as much as you can before you can't. That's it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the current Oilers structure. Are you worried about, the Leon Draisaitl negotiations? You think you'd have something like this wrapped up by now? Are you worried about, the cap space heading into the season? Are they going to be able to, ice a complete roster? Are they going to have to find a way, to juggle it? So let me know down in the comments. Have yourselves a great Monday and a great week. I'm Matt. We'll catch you next time.